Well, hi everybody, old Gare out here for this week's Fishing Chums Fishing Report. Thank you for being with us. And today we're not out to the fishing shack, we're on the shorelines of Table Rock Lake. And what a beautiful day. What a beautiful way to start the new year. We hope you had a new year. And 2019 is gone. My gosh, what a year. Still caught a lot of fish, but boy, we had a lot of high water in 2019. And we don't want that this 2020. We want a normal weather because we have some great fishing coming our way, I believe, in 2020. We hope you have yourself a happy new year. And we want to wish you the best for 2020. And I just think about how blessed we are for living where we do. Because right here in the Ozarks, we are blessed with some great lakes and awesome fishing. And sometimes I think some of us take it for granted. But the reason I'm bringing this up is I got a real nice text from a gentleman from Pennsylvania yesterday, and he was saying, you know, I didn't know too much about the Ozarks, but I've been watching your shows. I subscribe to your program now, and I just want to come and check out the Ozarks. It makes me want to go to the Ozarks and go fishing. Well, that's what we're all about. We love to get people excited about fishing, and what a beautiful area we live in. God bless it. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, we have a good show for you today. We have a pretty good report on bass fishing out at Table Rock. We were out jig fishing and grub fishing, and we'll be talking about this. We have a good report on some crappie being caught, and the bass fishing's been really good at several of our lakes. So we have a lot going on, and we're going to go check it out right now. So let's go fishing, Kathy.
Fish and Chums!
Well, that's right. Here we are in 2020, a new decade, and wonderful fishing ahead. I know we are. We're going to have a great year. All of us are. All right, let's start things out at Beaver Lake. The water temperature out there this morning was 51 degrees. Not bad for this time of the year. Could be a lot cooler than that. And I want to say howdy and a shout out to Richard Lee Rusher, and Eric was out just a couple days ago below the dam at Beaver on the White River, and they've been catching some really nice rainbow trout. So you may want to check this out. They've been using a variety of baits, anywhere from night crawlers to they've been picking up some fish on power bait, power balls, and so far. So check it out. And some little spoons too out below the dam at Beaver. Crappie fishing's been pretty good at Beaver. They've been picking up some fish in 15 to 25 to 30 feet of water over the brush piles. Not many people fishing for them. The ones who are really catching some nice crappie at Beaver. And it seems like jig and minnows. Some people are straight lining jigs. And if they're not hitting that 16th ounce, you may even want to go to a 32nd ounce. Sometimes that works a little bit better. But there has been a few real nice crappie caught out at Beaver. The striper fishing's been fair for the few that's been going out there fishing for them. They have been picking up some nice stripers out there. And I had a pretty good reports on bass. Bass are being caught up on the windy points or secondary points on wiggle warts and crankbaits, and some jerkbait fishing out at Beaver as well. Okay, let's go out to Table Rock Lake, and my buddy Brandon and I was out there. By the way, the temperature is around 50 degrees this morning. Now, when you get out in the mornings, it may be down around 46, but it will steadily climb up to 50 or 51 degrees. Brandon and I were out the other day, and we caught some nice bass. Look at this photo. We'll start things off. And my buddy Brandon is back in the city now, back in New York City, but boy, we enjoyed our Christmas vacation fishing, that's for sure. Now, I'll tell you what we were doing the other day. We got out and started cruising deep water, and we were looking in 50, 60, 70, and 80 feet of water, looking for balls of shad and streakers, looking for streakers, not Ray Stevens streakers. We're looking for fish streakers. Remember that song? That was a great song. So with your good electronics, just cruise these areas, and then if you see some streaks, in fact, look right here. Look at this photo. This is a good example. We were in 50 foot of water right here with our chart, and you can see that our jig, we're just jigging it. You can see that little jig. That's our jig right there. And we've seen here come a bass. a bass come right up. You can see him streaking right to the grub, I should say, or jig grub. And he took a look at it. He didn't like the looks of it, so he peeled back down. But a lot of times they'll come up there and you'll see them by using your electronics and watching that grub, the quarter-ounce grub, jigging it, don't over-jig it. And sometimes they'll streak right up there. A lot of times I pop it. Sometimes they don't. They'll look at it, and it's just a lot of fun. So get out in deep water at Table Rock this weekend. Use your grubs. You can use some ice spoons or spoons, but I love grub fishing. And what I've been using is the motor oil grub, that 4-inch grub, motor oil red flakes are smoking red flakes awful good. And sometimes they want more of a natural look like a salt and pepper. And sometimes I'll use a colored head. If they want a little bit of color, I might go to a chartreuse head. But most of the time you can just go with just a plain jig head, unpainted. And boy, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun in the wintertime. And so try a little grub fishing in deep water. Look for those streakers. I know you're going to catch fish this weekend. Other than that, at Table Rock, we're still picking up some fish on the Ned rig and also drop shots, getting around some of that deep water trees. They're getting some few nice bass, and they're throwing some jigs also around some of the docks and around some of the brush piles, picking up some fish as well. So Table Rock looks good for the weekend, and they really been catching some nice crappie. In fact, this photo here is Kenny Patterson, and his buddy was out on Long Creek the other day catching some more crappie, and they've been catching these fish down around 15 to 25 feet of water on jigs. Some people are using 16th ounce. I think Kenny was using an 1/8 ounce, getting down over those brush piles, and they really caught some nice crappie. We've had good reports also at Table Rock up in the Kings River Arm and up in the James, and other people have been picking up some fish in the deep water docks, especially the ones who had placed some brush down there, vertically fishing jig and minnows, catching some fish as well. So Table Rock looks pretty good for the upcoming weekend. Hey, get out there and get with it. Okay, let's go out at Bull Shoals. The water temperature at Bull Shoals this morning was 50 degrees. And bass fishing has been pretty fair. Not a lot of people fishing out there right now, and you have to work for them just like Table Rock, but it's awful fun. You can get out there if you have a little bit of wind and try the secondary points. A rock crawler or wiggle warts have been working crankbaits, and then you might want to back off and use your electronics and start looking for balls of shad off those big points and flats. And watch the birds out there too. You can get out there this time of the year, and the birds, the loons and the seagulls are a great fish finder. And if you see them diving, we get over there and throw some grubs or maybe some spoons, and you can have a ball catching bass out there this time of the year. Get back in those creek arms too and start looking for big old balls of shad. And about halfway back, and get that grub out there. I know you can catch some fish. Few crappie have been caught out at Bull Shoals as well. Not a lot of people fishing for them, but they're getting the brush piles, 15 to 25 to 30. I've even heard 40-foot jigs, jigging minnows. Look for them, because when you do find them at Bull Shoals, boy, they're really nice quality crappie at Bull Shoals. Let's go out to Stockton Lake. A little cooler. The water temperature is a little bit cooler out there, 44 degrees. And they're catching some nice bass. Boy, I've had good reports of Stockton bass fishing the last few days. In fact, Ben Jones was out the other day. Look at Ben. Man, that's a nice bass, Ben. Wow, that's a good fish. And we've had good reports of bass fishing. They've been catching them on a variety of baits. I've heard Ned rigs. I've heard jerk baits. Some crankbaits like your wiggle warts or your rock crawlers, and also some spoons and some grubs as well. So look at Stockton for bass. Good fishing. Good going, Ben. And they're catching some crappie. It's slowed down a little bit at Stockton, but they're still catching crappie around the deep water brush, 15 to 25, maybe even 30 feet of water, getting over those brush piles with jigs or jigging minnows. And as I mentioned, it slowed down a little bit, but they're still catching some nice crappie out there. Okay, let's go out to Pomme de Terre. It was 43 degrees out there this morning. And last week, Jeff Deckard and I and Brandon was out there. We had such a great time catching crappie. And they're still catching crappie. It slowed a little bit, but the boys have been going out and catching some nice fish, anywhere from 15, 20, 25 feet of water over the brush. We were fishing the standing timber, the submerged standing timber in about 30 feet of water, and we were catching them down around 15 feet. So look at Pomme de Terre. I heard some pretty good bass fishing out there as well. Okay, let's go out to Truman Lake. Golly, Brian, I guess it was, Brian Peck was out the other day in the Bucksaw area. Look at that beautiful crappie, over 2 pounds. And the crappie are being caught in the creek areas at Truman, on jigs, jigging minnows, and also at the lower end. We've had some reports along the bluffs. Just use your electronic, cruise those bluff areas, the bluff ends, the bluff points, the bluff pockets. Find some shad, get down there with a jigging minnow. I know you can catch some fish out at Truman. And some nice cats are being caught at Truman as well, back in the creek areas and the flats on cut shad. Some really nice cats are being caught. Let's go out to Lake the Ozarks this morning. The water temperature is 48 degrees. Josh Wisdom was out. Look at this nice crappie. Boy, they've been catching some nice crappie. And Lake the Ozarks shooting the docks with small jigs, and also some of the brush piles. In fact, Joe Voss was out. He and a buddy was out the other day up the Gravelous Arm and picked up a nice limit of crappie. And so there's some crappie being caught at Lake the Ozarks. And I've had some fair reports of bass being caught on the points and secondary points on jerk baits. And they're throwing some crankbaits, rock crawlers, and wiggleworts. So check this out. Hey, I want to go to the Spring River. We don't talk too much about the Spring River, but Jim Norris was out the other day. Look at this beautiful trout that he caught. Isn't that a gorgeous trout? Good going, Jim, up the Spring River. Isn't that a beautiful river? Just a beautiful river. Let's wrap things up on Norfolk. About the same thing that's been going the last 2 or 3 weeks. The crappie are being caught up up some of the creek arms, and about halfway back, down around 15 to 20, 25, 30 feet of water, jigging minnows or small spoons. And nice crappie, when they do find them, are really nice fish. And they're catching a few stripers out there at Norfolk on the flats, anywhere from 45, 55 to 60 feet of water on larger spoons, just getting out there spooning. Sometimes they get in some hybrids and white bass, but once in a while they pull out a big old striped bass. Okay, the water temperature, by the way, if I didn't say it, was 51 degrees at Norfolk this morning. Well, it looks like we're going to have a pretty decent weekend. You know, anytime we're in January and you can get temperatures in the 40s and 50s, we'll take it. Boy, that is absolutely beautiful. Get out at Table Rock and try some of that streak fishing. I know you're going to enjoy that. Some good crappie being caught, and just get out and enjoy the great outdoors we have here in the Ozarks. For you folks that's watching over on YouTube, we want to thank you very much. I know a lot of you people are watching us on Facebook now, but if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. There you go, Kathy, put that up. If you subscribe, you never miss, so you'll be notified on all of our programming. And be sure to share, like, and share. We really appreciate that. And if you have any photos, we've been getting a lot of photos. Be sure to send us your photos and any information, any questions, or anything you want to know about Fishing Chums or what you guys have been doing out there. Send it to us on our Facebook, on our email us. Email us at fishingchums@gmail.com. Well, that's about it for the day. We have some great photos coming your way to start things out on 2020, and we have some fun photos, so don't go anywhere. And Kathy, thank you for all your help last year. Looking forward to working with you in 2020. And thank you for all my wonderful hairdo and my makeup, Carla. Let's go fishing.